What are the best options for Ryu to beat Yang in a matchup? Is it worth playing Dungeon or is it worth playing Super 1? I mean, okay. In my experience versus Ryu players, they tend, I mean, a lot of well, there's only one Dungeon Ryu player that really, you know, uses Dungeon. Now, everybody else that I played, they either use Super 1 or Super 2 versus my Yang. Now, when it comes to playing versus Yang, if it were me, I mean, my preference is to use Dungeon, just because, you know, I mean, not to sound like a dumbass, but you know, I can do that shit. I mean, I can play Dungeon on Yang and know how to use it properly. Now, if you're like not as experienced in the matchup, then I would suggest starting out with Shinku first, because primarily because it's, you know, it's a lot easier to hit confirm it, and it's free damage most of the time. Like for example, if Yang tries to slash, if he does normal slashes, if he does EX slashes, then you can reversal super with it. Without having to worry about, you know, having to score a knockdown, having to waste meter. You don't have to worry about any of those other things that you would if you pick Dungeon. So, in terms of picking the super, if you're not as experienced, if you think you're not as experienced, I would say pick the first super. But if you're experienced enough to know, like, you know, how much meter you have good meter management, if you can score a knockdown properly, then I would say pick Dungeon. Now, when it comes to using normals, you really have to be careful, because Yang's pressure is very reliant on the slashes that he uses. So you have to really recognize when he uses like jab slash and when he uses any other type of slash. Because if he uses jab slash, it's -1 on block, so you cannot do anything against it. Now, when it comes to something like that, you just want to block. I mean, one of the best things you can do is learn how to red parry. But, you know, if you play an experienced Yang, it's not going to work. So, for starters, you know, you can learn how to red parry. Oops. So you can learn how to red parry like that if you want to, but it's more beneficial to parry the second slash rather than the first one, because for all you know, the first slash can be an EX. You know, you don't want to really fall for that. So when it comes to dealing with the pressure that Yang has, you have to make sure that you have good defense, like from a certain distance. From this distance, you want to make sure that you block, because he can easily just like walk up and low forward you, because that's my thing. But for the most part, you know, a lot of Yang players, they just do slashes and they don't really know the difference. So you have to really take advantage of that. You have to know which slashes you can punish and which ones you can't, because there are times where Yang can do like, he can start with like fierce slash and do a jab slash afterwards. And just doing that, like, the difference between those two is a lot. Because by the time you recover, you'll probably want to like press a button, but because Yang did the jab slash, he'll be able to buffer a parry after that. So it really leaves you open rather than Yang. So you'll see. Like that, see? You're like, oh shit, and then, you know, and that just leaves you open like that. So you really have to know which ones to punish. Now, if you did what I said before and parried the second slash, you don't really have to worry about it. You can get a full combo like that with a lot of damage, good stun, and or even then you can just go into super. I guess that has a chunk of startup frame. Hold on. And it's times like this when you're not sure that you can look up the frame data right here. Well, if you have the correct site. Now let me actually link it in the chat for you guys who don't know. So give me 1 second. This is ESN site. He's on Shoryuken, and he was very generous enough to create a site where it has all the frame data and it shows like the hitboxes and it shows everything. So, you know, for those of you who don't know it, you can look that up. It looks like this, and you can look up the frame data and stuff. So now let's see. I'm gonna look up Yang and I'm gonna look up Ryu. Now, for the most part, it doesn't give like the block advantage on, like, it doesn't give you the how many frames it is on block for the second or third slashes, but the second slash should always be -4, and the third slash should be like -8. And that's using the jab slashes, I think. Now, obviously, every other slash aside from that is going to be heavier, so it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a lot more frames of delay. So. Now, super for the first one. So Shinku has about 3 frame startup. So there's that plus -4 on block. So technically Ryu should be able to punish it with super. But the thing is that people don't know is that Ryu, there are certain characters in the game that have extra block stun. Ryu is one of them. Ryu, Q, and Chun all have extra block stun. So even though it's -4 and the startup is -3, I forgot how many frames of block advantage it is, but I think it's like 1 or 2 frames of block that he has. So technically it's about minus. So if you add that to the startup frames of Ryu, it's gonna take away from that. So it's gonna be about like a 5 frame startup. Actually not really. Anyways, it's a lot. It's a lot of frame data talk, which I don't really want to get into. But just so you guys know, when things seem like you can punish them, Ryu has a lot more block stun. So you really have to keep that in mind when it comes to like figuring out what's punishable and what's not punishable. So back to the slashes, that's one of the reasons why Ryu actually has a lot more trouble versus Yang than other characters. So like I said, you have to know that like the slashes and how they work, and you have to make sure you keep the right distance. So about right here is the proper distance because it's outside low forward range. That's a little bit closer actually. Like right here, but you don't really want to stay in this range because he can just like slash you from there, and you don't want to deal with that. And you guys completely did not see that. Sorry about that. So like I said, you can stay outside like this range if you want to, but this is like the closest he can get. Now I try to avoid telling people to stay in this range because he can just slash you right there, and he can just get in closer and just begin pressure, and that's not something that you want to deal with. So about right here is when you want to keep it because you have max range sweep and you have max range low forward. So in terms of best normals, standing forward is definitely one of the best normals he can use because obviously his leg goes over a low forward. So you can counter perk low forward with this, and you don't really have to worry about like the pressure because it sometimes it stuffs out the starter frames of slashes. So you can do this too. Now if you stay outside this range, you can abuse the whole max range sweep thing and apply just keep them in this distance. Now, another reason why I say to stay at this range is because you get to deal with dive kicks a lot easier. So standing roundhouse will beat dive kicks like consistently. If you neutral jump from this distance, you can keep the space even like you can stay in this position a lot easier because neutral jump forward is really good versus dive kicks. So, for example, if they do that and if they dive kick, you can super as a reset. So you'll see. I'm gonna put myself in the corner. And you'll see that if I reset Yang from this distance, ah shit. If it's a little bit closer, it should work. It's a reset, so you get to force them to parry or just take the hits. And if you get the parry, then you can you know, do jump tatsu, or wait until they land and do that. Or you can do that too. So it's one of the perks of using the first super. You can do that too. And from here, like, you know, if you're in training mode, you can mess around with how much damage it does. Oh shit. So the super itself is 44. It's 54 with Shoryu. 54 with Tatsu. 52. So it's better to either dash up and Shoryu or just roundhouse Tatsu from there. And you know, that's one of the good things with using the first super, because you have the advantage to do that, and you get EXs. Ryu is like one of the characters in like one of the few characters in the game that really, you know, you can use frame traps and it'll be a good thing to do, because normally, you know, in like Street Fighter 4, frame traps are really consistent, but in this game, because of the parry system, you can't really do that. Now the good thing with Ryu, he can frame trap a lot easier than other characters, simply because like his moves are good enough to do that. Since he doesn't really have any combo like chain combos or, you know, any kind of move like that, he has to apply pressure in that way. So knowing your space, like knowing how much space you have, is one of the more important things to keep in mind when you're applying pressure. So for example, if you're in the corner and you grab, you know, doing something like that to apply the pressure to keep them from jumping is one of the good things to do. So you can do like standing forward, low strong into EX fireball and keep the pressure. And from there you can just do standing roundhouse in case they try to jump. So these are one of the few options that you have when it comes to like applying pressure to Yang. I mean, and this goes for any other character too, so you know, you can keep it simple that way. So like I said, max range. Oh shit. Okay, max range Tatsu. All right. Max range sweep, max range low forward. In terms of jump-ins, you can jump in with jump-in strong, but most of the time you want to rely on late jump-in roundhouse. I mean, you can use standing fierce if you want to, like that. But aside from that, you don't really, I mean, you can jump in on Yang, but you know, just try to limit the amount of like actions that you do. So like in terms of like jumping in, you don't really want to press a button, because if he gets a free parry, he gets to apply a lot of stun to you. So you don't really want to do that. So empty jump, grab. In terms of pressure, just try to do frame traps. Let's see. Standing fierce into low strong. Standing fierce, low strong. Okay, yeah, that works too. Yeah, standing fierce and then walk up, standing forward is a good spacing tool. because right here it pushes you max range right here, so you get to stay outside that distance. Blech. So dealing with dive kicks is the same thing. Jump back roundhouse. Let's see if that answers the question though. So yeah, just the most important thing is just to know how the slashes work, because if you know how the slashes work, you'll be able to deal with it a lot easier. So, like I said, everything is unsafe except for jab slash from Yang, because it's -1. Now, always keep in mind that Ryu has extra block stun, so you have to account for that too. So, if you want to deal with the slashes, always be ready to parry the second slash rather than the first one. Now, if you're experienced enough, then yeah, you can go for the first one and go for a big punish, but it's kind of risky. So try not to rely on that. Now, that's with dealing with slashes. Aside from that, there's nothing else that you really have to worry about. If you find yourself getting caught in pressure, then just buffer parry and then get out. Because Yang players like me, they tend to abuse the fact that Yang can slash, so they'll go they'll do something like that. Now, to deal with that, you would just want to buffer parry once and just jump out. So if I'm in this pressure, you can backdash too, and and just keep that distance. But for the most part, if you block like this, you'll see that if you try to grab, then you'll get hit easier. So just try to keep your defense as solid as you can, because if not, then you're gonna get caught easily. So you really have to be careful with that. Defense is one of the keys to winning this matchup with Ryu, because that extra block stun, it really does kill him. So you have to account for that. Because as you can see, I can't even backdash because standing short beats it. Now you can do something like that, because say if I'm getting prepared to parry the second slash, you can do that and then jump out. So for example, if I'm right here in this situation and I'm getting ready to parry the second slash, like I said to, you can parry once forward and then jump out. So second slash will come and then parry and jump out. And it's a good thing to do because it beats out standing short or a second slash, and anything else other than that, you'll be safe. So you'll see second one, and second one, and I should be getting out. Well, you have to be quicker. So if you do it fast enough, you'll be able to jump out a lot easier if you try to parry the second slash. So I'm gonna try to reproduce it again. So hold on. So say if I'm gonna do jab slash, then a second jab slash, just to keep it safe. Oh, what did I do that for? So jab, jab, jab. Shit. Jab, jab, jab. Okay. And as you can see, it's a little difficult because as you can see, like that extra block stun, it really does make a difference. Because technically, the second slash should actually be a blue parry rather than a red parry, but for those with higher block stun, it's counted as a red parry, so it makes it a lot harder. Fuck. Shit. 1, 2. Oh my god. 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2, and then jump out. And as you can see, you know, if you're prepared to parry the second one and then jump out, you'll be safe from a lot of the other options. So that's why I always say to parry the second one instead of the first. So that's one of the main things to do. And one of the most important things too is also to know your punishments. Now, if a Yang player, you know, just blatantly just does like 1, 2, 3, that last slash is like minus 8. So you have plenty of time to do crouching fierce into EX like that, and then a chunk of damage. That's more than a reset super. I mean, you can punish it too. Instead of jumping out, you can punish it too. But I would say, like for starters, if you're playing the match like, you know, first round, first game, whatever, then always read how they do slashes first. Like if they start out with slashes like this, then they're expecting you to press a button, and if they do that, then they're gonna buffer a parry the next time. So wait for them every single time. If they try to do something like this, wait for them, and then just grab for the first time. If they do it again, then they're not that good of a player, and you can punish them each time. So wait for them to do that, and then just punish, because you will have plenty of time to punish them after that. So like I said, know your slashes, know your spacing. Keep in mind the extra block stun for Ryu, and know your punishments. Did I say that? I don't think I said know your punishments. Okay, well anyways, know your punishments too. So, because if you don't know any of those 4 things, then you're going to lose this matchup. So those 4 things are the best tools you have to beat Yang with Ryu.